It's time to get all set for Sunday, a podcast for busy and distracted Catholics with your hosts, Scott Williams and Jeff Traylor.
When I hear the coffee brewing, I think, what the heck we doing? Because I got barely any sleep last night. As the diaper bag I pack with Hot Wheels dollies and some snacks, I say a prayer there'll be a seat in the crime room this time. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday.
Welcome to All Set for Sunday, a podcast for busy and distracted Catholics to be a little more prepared for Sunday Mass. My name is Scott Williams, my co-host on Pit Row. Jeff Traylor, how are you?
I'm great, Scott. It's race week, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh, race week in Indianapolis. It's just...
You ever been?
Yeah, I have. I'm coming up on my 35th straight. So, 8 years old, I went to my first one. So,
Father Christian Raab is joining us today.
I'm here today.
How are you, Father?
I'm wonderful. Great.
Why don't you scoot on up to that microphone?
Get a little closer
Join us.
so
Yeah.
you can hear me better.
Yeah.
you stick into the rug
I
back
think
there?
I'm stuck on the
You
rug.
stuck on your scapular?
Probably.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, no.
Goodness
Okay,
gracious.
here we go. We're ready.
All right.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything, do you have traditions like that Jeff has 32 years straight? Are you that old?
I'm definitely that old. No, and I don't think I have anything like that.
Just like morning prayer?
I went to the that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm Orad and
Yeah,
Laborad.
yeah. I prayed every day. That's for sure. Yeah. And I went to the time trials once when I was a kid, but that's it. Never been to the race. But I know it's an exciting time for Indianapolisians.
This I thought you almost had a stroke there.
Yeah.
All right. You're good.
No, it's an exciting time. I don't know. Here in Indianapolis, we like celebrate around the office here. We do a lot of fun activities and it's a good time. Do we want?
My wife and I were married on the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500, the day before it, actually.
Wow.
Which is a great day for an electric city, but not a great day for hotel reservations, things like that. Things we didn't think about.
Makes sense.
You also hit that point where like the race was like back to like peaking out, right? Like the race had been, there were a lot of years where like you wouldn't have to worry about hotel rooms. Like the crowds weren't that big, but the 100th was like the highest attended one, I think, that they ever had. So,
Yep. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times had.
But also easy to look up how many years you've been married now.
We realize that because anytime we look at a sign in Indianapolis this time of year, I know that this is our 9th anniversary.
Well, the JW Marriott will also remind you every year of not only the anniversary, but that it is your anniversary coming up.
Indeed.
When they put on that giant hotel.
Isn't that nice they did that for us?
It is. That's kind. This year it's a big Mountain Dew bottle. And they must know you really well.
Yeah. Some sort of analogy there, I'm sure. Great. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, you're here in person. It makes us so happy.
Jasper.
And guess what? A word in one of these readings is
right.
Jasper.
Yeah, second reading.
Speaking of that, ready for the 2-minute drill?
I am. It is the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time.
Easter.
Easter. Oh, shoot. It's the 6th Sunday in Easter. I apologize.
No
right
worries.
off the bat.
No
We
worries.
could have saved that till the end for corrections.
Oh, it's okay.
Real miss there. Our first reading comes from Acts chapter 15, 1-2 and 22-29. So we're going to cue the first century church council. We got a council happening here, and we're going to get together some folks from Judea who were causing a big stir, and they were insisting that the Gentiles, that they should hurry up, and that those who had converted needed to also follow Mosaic law, which gets a little dicey, if you know what I mean. But Paul and Barnabas weren't having it, so they headed to Jerusalem and said, we're going to have a council. We're going to talk about this a little bit, pull this meeting together. And the result, they said that the apostles, with the Holy Spirit's help, were able to write a friendly letter. These two put a nice friendly letter today, say that we're not going to put unnecessary burdens on people just to follow Jesus. So avoid idols, avoid immorality, and blood. But basically it was like, you're welcome. Come on in. You don't have to follow all these rules, which I'm sure was much to the relief of many Gentile men who had converted. Yes. Our responsorial
It's
psalm
the
is
greatest day in the history of the church.
I also like how like this new pope is right. Like we gathered some folks together. We had a synod. It was so good. Very Midwestern of us.
we got together chatting it up. The responsorial psalm, "Oh God, let all nations praise you." Yeah, it's good, but I don't know that I'd go banger. But you know what is a banger?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That's always an option. Father Meyer's been running the Hallelujah option. He's been reminding us, letting us know for
always
sure.
an option.
He's
during
always
Easter
up.
season.
He's always up for it. He just enjoys a good challenge.
Yeah. Did you watch that video he sent us?
Of the of people standing
He
up.
did it at his daily mass, and everybody stood up, and he couldn't get him to sit down.
Just checked out and hear Hallelujah, and they all stand for the gospel. But he also had a daily mass with like 15 servers, which whole separate conversation, but that's awesome.
Yep.
Anyway, our second reading comes from Revelations 21, 10-14, and 22 and 23. So John gives us the ultimate real estate tour here. He's like, it's like one of those like speed tours, but through the New Jerusalem. He's telling us all about the New Jerusalem and how it comes down from heaven, glowing with divine glory, and its foundation stones are named after the apostles. So truly built on the rock. And no need for a temple, for the sun or moon, because God and the Lamb are the light in the temple. They like God is there, Jesus is there. They bring us all the light in the temple that we need. And basically, there are the rules here are no darkness, no drama, just divine radiance. That's what we're keeping pulled together. So, and then we have our in Jasper. Also Jasper.
Precious
Jasper
stone. I didn't know that it
stone.
was a precious stone.
Yeah, the precious stone. I have no idea what it even looks like.
It's clear as a crystal.
Then it doesn't look like much.
That's what it says.
Let's hear the gospel.
The gospel. Let's hear it. This makes me nervous about your preparation. Our gospel comes from John 14, 23-29. Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever loves me will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our dwelling within him. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. Yet the word you hear is not mine, but that of the Father who sent me. I have told you this while I am with you. The advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I told you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give it to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid. You heard me tell you, I am going away, and I will come back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it happens, so that when it happens, you may believe."
What do you think about that, Father?
Awesome.
Did Jeff get anything wrong other than that beginning part where he said that it was ordinary time?
It's so small that I don't even want to mention it.
Say it. Do it. He does want to mention it so bad.
How many revelation are there?
I guess just one. Probably.
It's a very common thing that people call it the Book of Revelations, but it's the Book of Revelation is the name.
We read it in pieces, so it feels like
yeah,
it's
I
many.
know.
Forget sometimes that it's just one
everything
trip.
else was great.
I
Yeah,
feel like you've corrected people on that before.
have I?
So, I mean, no, it's just like at the seminary. Is it something that comes up every once in a while?
Probably.
Like if you're going to be a priest, you need to know how to say this.
If you're going
Why
to
are
be
you
if you're
denying
going
me the
to be a
priesthood,
seminary professor, you have to correct people about little things that most people wouldn't care about.
That's
so.
fair.
I appreciate it.
Fix the little things, take care of the big
Yeah.
things. That's how it goes.
That's right. I say I have to have a charism of annoyance.
You're nailing it.
Is that one of the God-given charisms?
Yeah, so we have to be like the charism of being a little bit annoyed with our students, so that we correct them on things, so that they don't go and be of trouble to everybody.
That's fair.
It's just the charism of annoyance,
Where are you
or
preaching at this
being
weekend?
annoyed, maybe.
Jasper?
Preaching in Jasper at the parish. Yep,
Okay.
St. Joseph, and
What are you going to preach about?
well, think it's going to be one of those homilies. I think where I'm going to try to bring together all the readings in some way.
Okay.
Which, that doesn't always work out the best, but I do feel like I can see how these all kind of go together. And I would start maybe with the book of Revelation, because it's telling
Which
us
one?
the passage we got today is telling us about our hope, and we've been hearing this for the last few Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about our hope, the hope of heaven, the hope of God being in communion with us, seeing Him, being with Him face to face, all our tears being wiped away, all things being made new. So it's just this great, awesome vision of hope. And of course, since I'm in Jasper, it'd be kind of a good way to, I think start the homily with people.
Guys, we made it.
We made it. We made it into the Bible. Actually, no, the town got its name from that, from this part of the scripture.
I would have
Oh,
to
really?
believe.
Yeah.
I mean, where else would it come from?
Yeah. So it'd be
the rock itself. If there's like a quarry of jasper rocks.
yeah. Nope. They got it from this
know.
passage. I think the idea is like we want our city to be also,
A vision
a vision of
the
hope,
new
a
Jerusalem.
vision of something. Yeah.
I like it.
So,
The
but
Germans.
just kind of starting with like what is our ultimate hope, and that it's clearly in this passage, a vision of a city. So that our hope is kind of a city. Our hope is the city of God, is what Augustine would call it. It's to be a member of that city where we're in a kind of loving, eternal communion with God and with one another. But then to go back to the first reading, it's sort of like, okay, we're talking about a city. That's our hope. Who's in, who's out?
Ooh.
And that are there people who are in or out in this city? And the point of the first reading is to tell us that everybody can be in it. That first reading has to do with, as you said, the Council of Jerusalem, the early church coming to the understanding that God's covenant people was inclusive of the whole world, for those who would come to Him, for those who would come to Christ. And so the in group and the out group is changing. Of course, Israel's role always had been to be a light to the nations. But now with Christ, everybody can be at the center of the covenant. Everybody can be part of God's family, up close. That's what He wants. And so who's in, who's out? Well, it's open to everybody. And then you go into the Psalm, right? Is if you don't choose the Alleluia option, the refrain is all the nations.
Oh God, let all the nations praise you.
Oh God, let all the nations praise you. And so it's like, well, who's in, who's out? Well, it doesn't matter if you're Jew or Gentile. God's family is now no longer a question of being Jewish. It is open to everybody. It's no longer about, as one Bible scholar puts it, it's now a circumcision neutral community. Whether or not you're circumcised, you can be part of the covenant family. So
Which scripture scholar was that?
let all the nations praise you. And then
Neutral.
but then we get to the gospel, and I think it takes us a step further, which is to say, okay, everybody can be, but how? No, everybody can be part of this covenant family.
Okay.
Everybody can be part of this covenant family, but how are we part of the covenant community? How are we part of God's people? So, and in the gospel, what we learn is that it has to, I think the key word is communion. Is communion with Christ. That's how we're going to be part of God's covenant people. That's how we're going to finally get to heaven, how we're going to be part of that great city, is through communion with Christ. Now, when you look at different parts of the New Testament, like different authors kind of emphasize different things. I think to my mind, there are three emphases that come out a lot in the scripture. One, we're part of that communion through the sacraments. And so, we're God's part of God's people. We're part of Christ by sacramental incorporation into Christ, by being baptized into him, as the Gospel of John says, by eating his body and blood Eucharistically. So that is, I would say that's the most important thing. But then also, like other parts of the New Testament, particularly St. Paul, and these things are not in competition, Paul will emphasize the importance of faith. So our communion is not only by having received sacramental grace, but by responding with faith and by believing in Christ. So we're part of Christ sacramentally, but we believe in him. And then John emphasizes a lot in his gospel and I would also say this, the synoptic gospels do too, is like to keep that communion with Christ, we also have to look at the question of love and our moral life. And so to be in communion with Christ is to love him, but also to love our neighbor, to love the Father and do the Father's will. And so when we do things that, are expressions of disrespect for God or disrespect for the Father or irreverent of God or irreverent to our neighbor, we're losing our communion, or we're weakening our communion, and we can lose our communion if we do those things out of spite or anything like that. So so that's kind of how I'm thinking. Is like, what are we hoping for? Who's in, who's out? And then how are we in, if we're in? Yeah.
I just had somebody that came and did an interview with us about for our business, but it was Indiana Business Journal, so it was a very secular interview of like businesses that are happening in Indiana. But it was kind of interesting because usually it's like a Catholic entity that's doing these types of interviews. But she asked the question, when did your faith become so important to you, and why? And the only thing I could think about, and it's kind of related to what you were just talking about, is like, man, you're either in or you're out. And if you're in, that means a certain set of rules and criteria. And when you're talking about eternity, why would you not be in? And if you're in, like, that also means telling other people about what it means to be in, and how do we build that community? How do we invite people to it? And it was just kind of interesting, like from the context of like the secular angle of just trying to be able to relate that Jesus has called us to something amazing and beautiful and has called us to heaven. But that means you're either in or you're out. There's a community of people that are going to help you get there, and there's going to be a community of people that are going to help you not go there.
Yeah.
And you just become the sum of the people that are around you, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important in the context of community today, just as much as it did 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome thoughts.
I like that idea that like you're the sum of the people around you, because it also represents the idea that like we're also called to raise that sum, right? Like it doesn't mean just avoid people. It means when you encounter people who pull you away, make the decision of like, how can I pull against? I was listening to, I'm trying to think yesterday I was in a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were talking about if the tides of like secularism in our world are this like river moving downstream, the only way for us to like encounter that is to push back with more force than is pushing against us. Right. Like, even if we just hold our ground and stand neutral, then we can't. But like the idea that we must push back against, right? Like not in a confrontational way, but in a, like, with love, with truth,
True.
right? With beauty.
Yeah.
And that's how we can shift those tides. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good. No, a similar example I've heard is like weeding. Like if you don't do anything, you're going to lose the garden.
Mhm.
You know, you have to like actively weed. You have to actively you can't just stay neutral because you'll drift and things will drift in the wrong direction. So it's so important to be intentional and active. Yeah. Yeah. Good thoughts.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, I did. I'm always intrigued when we see in the readings like a phrase we hear in Mass.
Mm.
So, like in this gospel, we see "Peace I leave you with you, my peace I give to you." Like, I'm always like intrigued because like I hear that and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Good one.
That's it.
I actually thought about preaching about that, but my thoughts ended up kind of going in a different direction.
Yeah.
But one thing I think another kind of idea maybe you could develop about this gospel is like not as the world gives, but the way so like what's the difference between the peace that the Lord gives us and a different kind of peace? You know, I think you could probe that because there's probably a lot to it. Like the Lord gives us what kind of peace does the world give us? What do they even mean? What does the world mean by peace? Like, is it the absence of conflict? Is that the same thing that Jesus' peace is? I don't think so. What's the difference between these kinds of peace? You know, the world gives us maybe a peace could mean just comfort, contentment. You know, I know the Lord doesn't always bring me comfort and contentment. So I think there's some kind of real dynamic difference between the peace that the Lord gives us and the peace that the world gives us. And I think the peace that the Lord gives us is being in right relationship. And that is not necessarily the same as being in a absence of conflict.
So peace doesn't just mean not lacking conflict, but
yeah, peace isn't. We can't limit peace to the absence of conflict. It has to be right relationship, and so the Lord. Sometimes we don't feel very peaceful in our journey with the Lord. Sometimes we feel uncomfortable. We feel discontent. Sometimes we find ourselves in conflict with other people. And the only way, like we could choose the world's peace and have an absence of conflict if we just, maybe this is how our two ideas are coming together, but like if we just join the crowd, then we wouldn't have conflict anymore. That would be a kind of peace, you know, or I could just, you know, choose the peace of the couch, you know, but the Lord wants to draw me to a deeper peace, which is
right relationship.
And that is a peace where it's not just the absence of conflict, maybe sometimes isn't even the absence of conflict, but it's a peace based on justice, which is right relationship. Yeah.
So it could still be conflict, but it is.
I think there could
like
be conflict.
Healthy conflict.
Yeah, there can be conflict with, you know, things that are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It also made me start, like I said, I read that phrase and then I started thinking about like what's said after that at Mass. And this was one of those areas where I was like, well, I don't really pay attention to that because I hear the word peace and then I start thinking, who am I going to shake hands with first? And who? But then I was like,
who's going to give me a wave and I'm going to make him
yeah,
shake
exactly. My soapbox then being like, that's the worst thing that came out of COVID is that nobody wants to shake hands at the sign of peace.
Is that still? I'm not out there.
People just do a lot of
this, a lot of nodding, peace signs, waves,
like little peace.
Yeah. One of my family members, like one of my family members, like loves the sign of peace.
Yeah,
it's like that is the thing.
Oh,
and COVID was so hard for them.
Yeah.
And then when COVID ended, they're like, first words were, they better bring back the sign of peace.
Love up.
And then every now and then I hear, somebody kind of rag on the sign of peace. Like they're like, oh, I don't like that. It kind of takes us out of the moment of prayer. Or it's distracting. Like, okay, but I know that there are people at church, like they just love that.
That's the thing.
That's like there. And so, let's.
But I always want to shake hands, and then I go to stick my hand, and then I see people be like, and like I can't. I'm trying to read their face. I'm like, do they actually want to shake hands? Do they not? But like, I need to just start forcing it. Just put it right out in front of them.
It's
like
the
trailer.
Maybe it's like the lay.
We have conflict, or we have the absence of conflict.
It's the lay equivalent of, do they want the Eucharist in their hands or their mouth?
Yeah.
It's like,
the
do they want to shake hands or not? Do I put my hand out or not?
Oh man,
are we close enough in the like? There's a pew between us. Do we go for the reach or do we do the wave?
Yes, exactly. Amongst my own family, like when we're 5 wide in a pew, it's like how do you get to the other end, and
how
like
far
at what
down do you
level is
go?
acceptable, and like
group sign.
are we just fighting? Yeah, just one large group hug.
I'm kind of like, yeah. I mean, when I'm with the congregation, which is not that often because I'm usually up at the altar, but it's like I kind of like, my rule is always like front of me, behind me, right, left, like immediate. Like
Christ before me, Christ
I'm not a
behind me,
reach around,
Christ beside me.
kind of shake hand person.
What about at St. Minor though? Do you guys, when you guys have mass together, do you guys have the sign of peace?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and that's kind of how it works. It's like you don't go around to everybody.
You should.
Yeah,
if you were the one, can we do that experiment? Can we make a video of like you just come out of the choir stalls and start
being
wandering?
the guy who tries to go around to everybody.
You're just shuffling down the choir stalls, like.
Yeah,
so I'm sure we would just.
It's so funny because there are some things that. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's like I think there are some things that could like go on for a long time, and nobody would ever tell you, like, don't do that anymore. Like,
specifically at the Abbey, or like,
if I was, whatever, going off and buying Snickers bars every time I went to the gas station, like I could pretty much do that for a long time, and no one would ever tell me you shouldn't be wasting our money on Snickers bars. But
hypothetical example, of course.
But that one.
But if I did that, like I think
in the middle of mass, you would be corrected.
I would be talked to that day.
Is it like you think it's like an intervention, or like they have one person come to you? Or?
Like you buy as many Snickers bars as you want, but you are not doing that again.
You will.
Just go up and down every aisle.
I'm just imagining like shuffling in the choir stalls, like in front of the guy.
Yeah. Oh my. No, you would hear about it.
And then you come down and you go across.
You would hear about
into
it
the other side
right away. You'd be done.
Just hang on a second, Abbott. We'll almost done. Got one more row.
That would be hilarious. It'd be a funny video. Just to see how everybody was reacting. It'd be better if like the guy could not pick up on any social cues.
If you guys had some social media, it'd be fun to do, even just staged.
Yeah.
Like if you just made if monks did the sign of peace, like lay people, and it's all of you are just circling out.
We're definitely like front, back, right, left. That's it.
Oh man,
that's a handshake.
We call it the monk hug.
Ooh,
amazing. Transition to dumb questions.
The monk hug is, so one monk puts his hands kind of lightly on the other monk's shoulders, and the other monk puts his hands on the other monk's elbows, and they kind of go in and just like put their heads next to each other and then come back out. And
how do you know which way you're going? How do you know if you're a shoulder guy or an elbow guy?
Great question. It is based on seniority.
Oh,
what? Yeah.
It's fascinating. I'm so excited about this.
So more senior people are shoulder.
The senior offers the sign of peace, and the junior receives.
Offering is hands on shoulders.
Hands on the shoulders.
Forget receiving on the
is-
tongue. We receive on the elbows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is
And
the most fascinating.
So if you're the junior, you don't offer. You have to kind of wait till the other guy puts his.
That must be an exhilarating day when a new monk comes in and the youngest guy is like, finally,
He's finally gets.
he finally gets to go to
Yeah.
offer.
You really feel bad if like we have a year without novices because
Yeah.
he's like, man, I've yet to offer somebody the sign of peace.
It's all elbows over here.
Okay, so what I've got more questions.
fascinating.
I've got
Okay.
more questions. So if you go to a
It's a great tool.
like if you go to another abbey, so I don't know if that ever happens, but like I know that sometimes you guys get guys from other parts of the world
Mhm.
to come and live with you. If you go to another
Abby.
abbey and like you go to mass, how do you know whether you're the senior or the
Stripes on the
It gets a little tricky.
because you just know because you live like you usually
yeah.
live there that like
yeah, I don't know
this
that
guy was before.
like I.
come in like this.
It kind of depends. It kind of depends because some communities don't like care as much, and they're just maybe a little more informal.
Okay.
And some communities are more formal and kind of more strict about that. So actually, St. Meinrad, on this point, we're probably a little bit more formal. And so if we have a new guy who's like living with us,
Mhm.
like within the first, it's not long that he's there that we all get a memo about where he is in seniority.
Okay.
really?
And
For
then,
this specific thing, or is there
there are
other?
a number of things.
I want to hear all. What are all the things that matter for
the sign of
seniority?
peace, then how we line up to go for processions.
Okay.
So we go like newest members are in the front and most senior in the back.
Rookies up front. Got it.
So
Take the first fire.
so you line up according to seniority.
Okay.
Now if the list hasn't come out, you will see little conversations. Like, what's your profession date?
Ooh.
And then you kind of line up according to that.
Bill, he's the 68.
Yeah. And then what's the meals. Meals.
Mm.
Meals are the opposite of procession.
I would
So
imagine.
the seniors go first, and and then the juniors go last.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not about like when it's time to eat, everyone's there and like you eat when everyone's lined up. in the right order.
We sit down,
Mm.
and then actually food is brought out like family style, but we're sitting at tables according to seniority, and so the senior table gets their food first.
Oh, so you never get, but do you guys, so you don't get to like dine with you're like dining with the same people all the time?
For
your whole life?
dinner. For dinner.
For your whole, yeah.
So
rest of your
I mean,
life.
pretty much, right?
the dinner meal is done like that, but it's in silence, and there's a person who reads, and then breakfast is in silence, but you can sit wherever you want, and then seniority doesn't really matter. You just, because it's more like cafeteria style, and you just go up into the line whenever you want.
At lunch,
and
can you talk to people?
Lunch is also kind of cafeteria style, except we process out a little bit in order so that our superiors eat first. And then lunch is talking. Lunch is our only talking meal at the Abbey. So,
Huh.
I had no idea about that. You didn't talk at meals.
yeah. Well,
Because I didn't know that
breakfast
because you
and
guys,
dinner.
you read the rule of St. Benedict during the meals, right?
At dinner.
At dinner?
At dinner, yeah.
Okay.
Who reads?
It's a rotation.
I was at St. Meinrad on Friday with
Oh, yeah,
my
that's
daughter's
right.
8th grade class. By the way, the kids were actually absolutely asking about you.
Oh,
It was
sorry, I
like
missed it.
question number one is Father Christian going to be there? I had to disappoint them by saying no. I offered, and he said, "I don't care about those little rat scallions. I'm not coming."
I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, but while we were there, we went for evening vespers. It was great. The kids were awesome. It was beautiful, as it always is. But like you guys, you rotate who leads vespers as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I read it wrong, but it seemed I would imagine that there are times where like somebody is maybe not as excited to like lead Vespers, or like that's not their like their charism and
Sure.
skill. And like you can kind of, I'm not saying it was this last Friday, but you could imagine you can kind of feel it in the like speed at which they're moving and the and like quietness and like I don't know, it was interesting. Like it didn't take anything away from it. It was just my observation was that the monk who was on the organ was having to like change cadence that he was playing from when
I had to slow down.
The individual was chanting versus the group. He would have to slow down for the group. And then with the individual, it was just, it was funny. But anyway, it was awesome. It's always great being on the hill.
Good. You made it.
I also learned on the way out of there that, speaking of Jasper, man, that drive into Jasper, we came in like at sunset. You get this like really beautiful like pocket view of the bell tower at St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
Like there's just this like you come around this curve and there's just this like beautiful view of the church. Like it was awesome.
I mean, our church there in Jasper, there's just many beautiful pictures of it that from sunsets and it's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I'm trying to
Okay, so we got a new pope.
Yeah.
Recently. So the Pope takes on a new name, but as a monk, you took on a new name.
Yeah.
So would you have if you became Pope, would you have a double name change?
I probably would get another name.
Yeah,
I think Not that I'm ever going to become Pope, but
you never know.
I never know.
Anything is possible now.
You've never been closer than right now.
I'm usually, whenever people talk about the end times, I'm like, I'm always a little skeptical. But if I was made Pope, I would be convinced.
Wait, so our last two popes though have been religious.
Yeah.
Did they have different names?
It depends on orders. Jesuits don't usually take a new name, and I don't think that Robert Prevost had a different.
I don't think it was a different
Augustinians.
Yeah. It depends on the order. It depends. Yeah, and some orders have like an option, so some guys do, some guys don't. Pretty much everybody at St. Meinrad, it's like our custom. You take a new name. Yeah.
Has there ever been a bishop come out of St. Meinrad?
Yeah.
From the monks?
Daniel Beekline.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I knew that. But was Daniel his name?
That was his religious name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. What was it?
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd kind of forgotten about that. Like one of like the three bishops I've ever met.
Do you have a pope name picked out?
No, but I can only think of Lando now. That's the only
Father Andy Seiberg, or Pope Lando.
Lando II.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's a big Star Wars guy.
That's funny. Was there a Pope Lando?
Yeah.
There's,
oh wow.
I haven't thought about it.
Do you have a Pope name?
Is that next week? I don't know. We might be previewing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
teaser.
Teaser. Okay.
I was going to tell his story or retell his story.
We never ever, record things ahead of time.
Okay. I feel like I've been talking about this a lot on this podcast, but
that's okay.
I'm continuing to have very unique experiences receiving on the tongue. And I feel like, I've asked these questions. I feel like I might be doing something. I don't know. So I was at a mass the other day where it became clear to me as I went up for communion that this communion minister had never given they had never given somebody the Eucharist on the tongue.
Okay. Was extraordinary minister?
Yes. Extraordinary minister. In that moment, should I just I'm looking for some advice. I know you do I just recoil and be like, nah, let's just go with the hand or what? Because what I know is
teach them a lesson.
I did, because what I ended up with was a fingernail on my tongue. And because there was this move, it was like a coming in and then a turnover and place on and then a finger. And yeah, it's a couple times here recently. I hold still, I stick my tongue. I'm really working on this. Yesterday I did, and the person who was giving me communion, they when they let go of the Eucharist, it was on my tongue. It was very clearly I got a big tongue. And it's like I'm all good. But they like panicked like they were going to drop it. So they placed it and then just like jumped with their hand underneath. It was very funny. Anyway.
This is
the trials.
I don't really have any advice.
I feel like I need to.
I don't have any advice for you.
No?
No.
I think you're doing what you're supposed to do.
I'm wondering if, maybe I just want to start talking about this more so people do more training.
Maybe
with
that's a good
extraordinary
idea.
ministers
I don't
on-
know if it was at your parish, but you might want to mention it to your pastor and say,
I did a couple weeks ago at my parish, and I did bring it up. But it was a veteran extraordinary minister too. But I was the first person in line, and he touched my tongue.
Oh boy!
And then he paused and went up and hand sanitized his hands, and then came back down. And so, like, I go back and sit down. And I'm like, "Where is my family?" And I look, and he's just coming back down.
No one wants to touch your filthy tongue, I guess.
No, I'm not trying. I don't actually want people touching my tongue.
Yeah,
Anyway,
for sure.
We've been doing this for 2,000 years, and now
I know.
can't do it anymore. I was thinking about it because like next year, my oldest will be in second grade and first communion preparation. I don't know. I've never been through first communion preparation classes before, but I don't get the sense that it's even taught that that's really an option, or maybe it is like briefly mentioned that it's an option to receive on the tongue.
I don't remember it being a part of any of my kids. Yeah. Like,
when's the last time you went to a first communion you saw, unless you went to like a more traditional, mass? I don't know. I just rarely see it. So I just want him to know that
we teach it at our parish.
Good.
So, I mean, we teach them, they have the option. We teach them how they can do it both ways. So
I encourage you to bring it up
Yeah.
to your
I'm going to.
in preparation. It's good.
I'm going to just try to teach him that that's the way he can do it.
That's good.
All right. Any other dumb questions?
I had one more.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was my daughter's question when we were at St. Meinrad for
Oh, yeah.
Vespers. My lovely youngest daughter, she's been veiling ever since the Eucharistic revival.
Yeah, I heard vaping for a second.
Veiling. And she loves it. And she is like, she did her research. She really understands why. She can articulate it and talk about it. And it's something that we've really encouraged in her. But she went and then like, she's got a couple of friends who have like started doing this because they listened to what she had to say. It made sense to them. And like, it's been really cool. Her question was like, do I wear, like, she was in a moment where she was like, well, do I wear a veil to Vespers, or do I only wear when I'm going to celebrate the Eucharist? And it was kind of in a last minute moment, and I didn't know. So I told her I would ask in dumb questions.
That's a good question I've never thought about. But I guess my answer would be just based on, the time in the past, like when most people, when veiling was much more widespread, and it's getting popular now again, but people would wear it when they went into church. So it would make sense that it's not just for the Eucharist. I think any liturgy, it would, if it's your practice to veil, then I think it makes sense to veil during Vespers.
Great.
If it's in a church.
Sure. I don't know. I don't want to say that because I actually know people who veil anytime they pray. And so they're, if for them, it's like, it's part of, some people, when they pray, they like to sit in a certain spot or have a certain thing, certain image on the wall, or, sit have a certain posture. And I think for at least one person I know who veils like that, for her, it's like that. It's like
I'm in prayer mode.
It's just something that it's part of the mode.
It puts you into that place. Yeah. I like it.
Engaged.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for letting us use your scapular to clean up messes and wipe off cameras.
Happy to do it.
All right,
Happy
Father.
to do it.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for. It's alright, cause I'm all set for Sunday.